Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphan Last, aka Skylar Madison. So this is my work in progress for at least a temporary intro. Now, I actually have a video series centered on a much more elaborate intro, but it's been a year and a half that I've been posting on YouTube, and I still don't have any type of intro other than just a picture of my logo and a black background. And, you know, I look at my audience retention, the analytics and such, and I think this is probably the same with everyone's content. The audience retention within the first 10-15 seconds of the video, it always takes a quick nosedive, and then it's around 20% all the views that I've gotten all the way through with the audience retention. You know, if I could keep some of that during the first 15 seconds with just a nice looking intro, then let's do that. Yeah. And not only that, this is just a work in progress so far, okay? What you've seen here. Now, I was really frustrated because the clouds, the way that the clouds are rendered inside of the effects schematic, blurry but really pixelated. For some reason, there's nothing that I can really do to up the pixels per inch. I don't know, it just seems like maybe there needs to be a bounty for that, because it feels like I'm super zoomed in on these clouds when they're white with a black background. And it looks terrible. When the clouds turn black with the blue background, it looks good. So I don't know what's going on there. I did everything that I could in order to reduce the weird pixelation that was going on there. This is the first time I've had an animation with a coin flipping. The only thing that is hand-drawn with this coin flip is the corner. It's the edge of the coin, the thickness of the coin. That's the only thing that's hand-drawn throughout the entire thing. It wasn't really that difficult, to be honest. And it's not like I'm measuring, it's just I have the general concept. Okay, it's going to be just a specific thickness, you know, what feels like the thickness of a quarter. And, you know, when the face of the coin, one of the two faces of the coin, is close to facing the camera 100%, whenever it's facing the camera almost completely, then the thickness of the coin is going to appear thinner. And then when the edge of the coin starts getting closer and closer to facing right directly towards the camera, that's when the thickness of the coin gets more and more accurately the true thickness of the coin. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on the screen right here, right now. Now, as you guys might recall, I had a series of drafts for the logo that were created on Krita, but I needed something more vector, and so I used OpenToonz to create the final draft of my logo. And, you know, I loved the vector tools instead of OpenToonz, but what I hated was the fact that I couldn't export as an SVG or as any type of vector file in general. And then what I did is I rendered that logo off of that previous project in OpenToonz as a PNG, and then created a new project and got that PNG into the new project. And then I got some browser tools. Some of them are from Adobe, some of them are different companies and stuff like that. And I got this PNG and uploaded it onto this website. And on this website, what happens after you upload your image, it just goes ahead and kind of pinpoints the colors that are used and then tells you the numbers, the numeric values for the colors on your image. So I went ahead and grabbed the red color and pasted it into the Adobe tool for color schematics and such like that. And once I was able to do that, I just used a specific calibration on the color wheel, which gave me a specific shade of blue, which became the color of the background when the coin comes onto the screen. Now, I am kind of frustrated because for some reason, instead of OpenToonz, there's no way for you to grab the actual numeric code for a color and paste it into the style editor. Nothing like that instead of OpenToonz. So after I got the color, I had to manually adjust it to be as close as humanly possible to that blue color that I retrieved. Now, what you're looking at on the screen right here, right now, is me experimenting with the effects schematic, primarily because of two things. One, I don't really know what I'm doing with the effects schematic, really, at all. I mean, I just kind of experiment here and there and gradually learn a little bit here and there. Another reason for why I'm experimenting is because I have very little idea as to what it is that I want for this intro. I'm still kind of at that point. Even some of the things that you've seen me animate so far, I may very well change pretty dramatically later on down the road, or completely get rid of, depending on suggestions and your guys' know-how, if you guys have a better image in your head as to what should be there, and if you have some feedback on how to get there. That would be pretty cool. But, you know, if you guys want to participate, it's all up to you as to if or how much you would like to participate. I suppose if you would like to give me some feedback on how to improve this animation, different ideas and such, I guess I could go ahead and do a screen share on Discord sometime soon, or something along those lines. If you guys are interested, I don't know. Some of the reason why I don't really know exactly what I want out of this animation, even though I've been visualizing it for months and months, it's kind of similar to this. Now, I am a stonemason, and, you know, I run into this quite frequently as a stonemason. Not just as a faux rock artist, but also most especially as a stonemason. I get onto a job site, the floor plan says we want stonework here, there, and here and there. You know, at a fireplace, a few pillars, a few walls, and such like that. Okay, excellent. And they've selected what type of stone that they want. And you ask them, okay, so what sort of pattern do you want? They have no idea. Okay, what do you want it to look like? And they have no idea. They've never even considered it. They just thought that once they selected the stone and once they figured out where it should go, then therefore we should just know intuitively what they want with the actual pattern of the stone on the wall. And that's similar to what I'm experiencing here. As I'm animating this, I'm considering things that I never considered previously. All I pictured was my logo flipping like a coin on the screen. What I didn't picture was all of the variously different effects. Maybe clouds, maybe a bunch of other different things, like what I've mentioned previously, a beveled shimmering effect or something like that, if that's even possible inside of OpenToonz. Once again, if there is anyone out there that might actually have some sort of suggestion on how to accomplish that, I'm all ears. I would love to hear that. Now, in order to get the flipping effect of the coin, this was actually really easy. Now, when you're using the animate tool, start with the simplest things first. Okay, ultimately, what is the coin doing? Well, it's going up and then down a little bit. Now, in this case, it grows and then it shrinks a little bit. Okay, so make the keyframes that are oriented around it going from a scale of 0 to whatever size, and then have it shrink down to its final size. So 3 keyframes total. And then it's just a matter of this, really, with the flipping action. What I did is I got the coin and just messed around with the horizontal value. I started it out at 100% horizontal value, and then every fourth of a second I would change the value, and that for a different keyframe. And so the next keyframe would be 0%, and then the next frame would be negative 100%, and then negative 0, because
negative 0 and 0.
What I didn't want is for me just to type in 0 from negative 100 and have the coin suddenly start flipping the opposite direction as what was already established. Because if you notice, my logo goes from looking to the right to looking to the left and looking to the right to the left. So it's like a real coin, how it would look if it was flipping. There is an inverted side and such like that. So that had to be considered. One of the weird things about animating this is that once I accomplish my keyframes and such like that with the animate tool, of course all the in-betweens were already made. It looked real nice, and I pictured, okay, so it's flipping this specific direction. But I'm pretty sure everyone's seen that weird optical illusion. It's an animation of a woman spinning, and it asks you, is she spinning clockwise or counterclockwise? Really, it could go either way. It really could. I mean, you're just looking at a silhouette of a woman spinning, and there's no indication as to which direction she's spinning. Your brain just interprets a direction all on its own, and it gets really difficult to try to picture it spinning the other direction. Well, anyways, that's pretty much what happened when I started to animate by hand the thickness of the coin. started to look like, especially when the coin and the thickness started to switch directions on which side the thickness should be, it started to look like, no, it should be spinning the other direction and such like that. But no, in my case, I started with the edge of the coin being a specific place, and I stayed the course. Because you got to be careful with a flipping coin. You can create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's flipping the opposite direction. You have to stay the course, especially when the face is pointed straight at the camera on some frames. Now, if the face of the coin is kind of flipping in perspective, you don't need to worry about it nearly as much. But when it's like mine, where the coin is flipping and it's going directly towards the camera, you're creating an optical illusion. And the only way to conquer the optical illusion is to create the edge of the coin. And that's exactly what I did. Now, if you had, say, a top view, an overhead view on a scene, and a character like Two-Face flips a coin towards the camera, the way that I would determine what direction the coin is spinning is where the thumbnail is when it flicks the coin. Wherever that thumbnail is, that's basically determining where the edge of the coin is and which direction the coin is going to be flipping. So regardless of what it is that you wind up seeing after the fact, you need to stay the course from there. What direction was the thumb pointing, specifically the thumbnail, when the thumb came up to flick it? Where was it pointed? And that right there will determine where the edge starts and transitions from then on. I hope I'm making sense. This is really difficult to talk about. Occasionally, you'll see throughout this video I'm messing around with the effects schematic and experimenting with things, and I'm not really getting much done, and that's because of what I mentioned earlier. Experimentation, unsure about what it is exactly that I want. And all of this kind of slowed me down throughout the entire week. Just me kind of messing around with things and making very little headway. But in the end, I'm happy with this week's amount of work. In the end, you guys can see that there is a coin, it's flipping, it has thickness, and all that good stuff. And rather than copying and pasting the cleanup work in this particular project, I decided to do things frame by frame with the polyline. Now, I really wish that the developers for OpenToonz could do something with the polyline to make it behave a little bit more like the pen tool instead of Photoshop. It just gets aggravating having to kind of make your line and such like that, and then go to the control point editor, switching tools, and then refining it. The more and more often you have to keep switching back and forth between tools, the more and more intensive the work has to be. And cleanup is already a really aggravating process. And seeing as using the polyline is the most effective way to do cleanup, and it still requires you to transition from the control point editor to the polyline, and then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in order to get it perfect, it just seems like, well, it'd be great if the polyline could be able to work just like the pen tool instead of OpenToonz. It just gets kind of frustrating. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you guys would like to get more notifications from me, feel free to click on the bell. And if you guys would like to take a look at any of my other videos, feel free to click on any of them that are appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time. Wow, come to think of it, I actually need a outro too. Whatever, this'll work for a little while longer.